Mike supposed to come today, right?
Yeah, this was his idea for the show too.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I thought. It was his idea, but then I realized, damn, he just pushed the idea and then he's not coming. I was like, uh-oh.
I'm almost positive he's going to be on.
I hope so.
Yep. Hey, Gabriel, good to see you. First into the fray, it looks like. Yep. First into the chat.
Yep.
Hey, North. Hey, thank you, Toxic Boy. Thank you very much. Hope everyone's doing well as we start off this week 4 streams. So I'm good to see you. Mac! What's up? Dice are always good, aren't they? Saturday's game, we're giving away another set. Plus the decks. Awesome, Mac. I know it's cheesy, but I like it. Yes, good. Yes, Kaylin and her cult completely dominating dudes. I think it's hysterical. Oh, cool, man. Are you moving to Milwaukee? Completely? I guess you gotta move completely, huh? It's cool. I'm gonna have a lot. Excellent. I'm gonna have a lot going on there at GaryCon. Can't talk about much of it yet, but got a lot going on, which is good. Oh, cool. Excellent to hear.
Of the many ancient civilizations of the world,
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's a couple months out still.
Majesty of
And I
ancient
got a
China,
lot of other.
one of the oldest and longest lasting
Oh, nice.
civilizations in the history of
We got
the
the
world.
St.
Going
Jude
back over
fundraiser well
4,000
before that
years.
I gotta start really
Roller
prepping
Games
for.
is proud to announce our latest
That's going to
Mythos
be on
series
the
project,
big plan
the
list
Codex
coming up.
Sonarum. The Codex Sonarum covers the might and profound wonders of prehistoric to medieval China, both historic and mythic for castles and crusades. With almost 200 mythical Chinese creatures and over 140 deities and heroes, the Codex Sonarum is filled with monsters, gods, warriors, and more on a level that will be truly legendary, told in a narrative true to Chinese history. It introduces the basics of Chinese martial arts and is complete with Qi and the many legendary abilities associated with it. ancient complex systems of sorcery.
Mike was away last
spellcraft,
week, right?
and fortune telling. Even
Yeah, I
enchanted
think it was.
charms
Yeah.
are
I think it was
explored
last
as
week he
well.
was away.
Players can live out their characters' adventures in tales set in popular Chinese fantasy styles like wuxia and more, while within a pseudo-historical setting and brought to life by the castle keeper or game master. Researched and written by Brian Young,
Just going to
the
refill my
wildly
water
popular
bottle.
mystery
Yep.
series
Back in a second.
delves into
Yeah,
the
Anna's
mythos
definitely
of
in.
the
Anna's
ancient world,
VIP'd, actually.
bringing hosts of gods and heroes, legends and
Yep,
lore,
Anna's definitely
and
going to be
even the
there.
monsters and foes that plague the peoples of ancient times,
There's Mike.
to the stories that you create. The Codex Sonorum brings ancient China
What's up, Mike?
to your table. Join us
Hello.
and pledge today. Trollord Games, join the fray.
Lots going on this week and in the next 2 weeks. 4 streams this week and 5 next. So, hey, Jim. Katana, what's up?
Uh-oh, did I lose audio? No.
No, you're there.
Oh, good. Yep.
You're there.
It was so quiet I couldn't hear anything. It was like,
Yeah,
damn.
see, I'm listening to the music for the Kickstarter.
Oh yeah,
Good.
but we can't hear. Yep.
Hey, good to see you. Phil's already got a light kit in ours. He's still working on it. Working on finalizing it, making it look all pretty inside. What's up, Katana? Yeah, DM Inverse, they're cool, and you know, you're always, like I said, they're great. Infinite Dimensions and Gamescape both sponsor me, so we get a lot of their stuff. It's awesome. They are a neat company, both of them. Thanks for the chat. I'm gonna hit highs to both of you there. We got 2 first-time chatters there. Mike did all the prep work for tonight, right, Mike? Yes. We're gonna be so screwed. That's what we got. There's places that pop up all the time. Okay, everyone. Oh, look at that. I knew I forgot something. I got the rary. Jay did mess something up there. Look, I got the rary thing up from last week. Watch, we'll just make whoop. We'll throw a map in there. The Wonders of XSplit. Throw a map in there. There we go. Good to see everyone tonight. Villages and towns of Greyhawk. Starting off the week. Hey, Lord Forth. Hello, hello. You know what? I'll come on a minute or two early and just do this twice so that we can. Alright. Oh, almost hit the wrong button. Almost. Alright. Good evening as we start the week off. What's going on, Mike? What's going on, Anna? How are you both doing?
Ugh.
Oh,
Ugh.
works that bad?
Yeah.
Sometimes I have the feeling I got overwhelmed this week too. Oh, I already hit a wrong button. Wrong button. Woohoo! So, real quick, we go through this real fast. Tomorrow night, cool adventure, standoff in the morass for second and third level characters. That's tomorrow night. Infinite Dimensions giveaway tomorrow night. So, then Saturday night, 6 p.m., the Ed Greenwood Slav Squad crossover event at 6 p.m. Okay. That's huge. On Saturday, we'll have a bunch of giveaways, mostly Wiz Dice, Stratagem, Titan Dice. Sunday night, Sean Reynolds is back on. It's been almost 2 full years since we've had Sean on, and we got him for the full 2 hours.
Was it that long?
Yeah, because
wow.
I got a reminder from 2 years ago that popped up. It was like November 7th of
Oh wow! I
2
thought it
years
was like
ago. Yeah,
maybe a year.
no,
Yeah.
it's been 2. So we'll have them all on coming up. So I wanted to let everyone know that. Yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend starting tonight here. All right. So we got Mike's idea, another great Mike idea.
Mhm.
Villages and Towns
Maybe.
of Greyhawk.
Yep.
Yeah. So we've never discussed this. Mike, is that how you came up with the idea?
Well, as you know, I keep a list of topics, and as I was running down through it, I noticed that we kind of danced around towns and villages. We did cities and
Okay.
Yeah.
other geographical things, but not the smaller towns.
Right.
I think we may have talked about towns and villages incidentally,
in the course
not on
of
purpose.
in the
Yeah.
course of discussing other locations, which is cool.
Yeah.
I know Anna and I
Yeah.
have been finding all these small towns and locations that we did not know about in the dungeons we've been going through, which is really cool. Finding a bunch of them.
Right.
And we've been doing that too, so that kind of ties in a bit there, which is
Small town.
neat. Having fun with it, and we'll see where this one goes tonight. Yeah. So of course, you got 2 of them up there right now. I mean, how iconic can you get? Just talking ones that are already like in adventures. So, and yeah, those. But if we run, I always start in Altamira here. If we run right up here, here's the thing: you want a lot of small towns and villages. This is this area of the Living Greyhawk map is probably, I mean, wow, it's an absolute mess. So I don't know about a lot of these towns, but I do know about Hamlet, and Hamlet's right here, and that's like the iconic small town or village that you go to with T1 and then T1 T4 and all. And that's your big one to start off. Now I went a little step further. I dug out for a couple of these towns we're going to discuss. I dug out my actual. Can I fit the whole village of Hamlet on my tabletop? This is so old that it was my old house. This is, as you can see, the basement's a mess around there, but no underlays, nothing. But yeah, so that's the Tower of Rufus and Byrne, and that's part of it. Using Miniature Building Authority and the older terrain there. No 3D prints at this time. None. That was not around. Yeah, and that's a hand-built thing. But yeah, that's there you go. I had Helmet on my table way back when we did a remake of T1 through 4. So here comes Blue Box in. John,
Wait.
Blue Box.
Hey
Welcome.
guys.
Welcome. Let me hit some shout outs there for John and crew. Good to see you. And thank you so very much. And let me set the giveaways up. The giveaway, which and there's Taborius with 52 months. Where did the time go? Here we go. So tonight we're going to do classic reprint giveaways again. All right. And tomorrow night it's Infinite Dimensions. Saturday night is we got a dual one with Stratagem Whiz Dice. So we got a lot of giveaways going on. But what I'm going to do with this one tonight, what's up, Tim? Is if hopefully if you don't have Treasures of Greyhawk, and your pick of one of the others. If you already have Treasures, then I'll give you two. But just note that's the one. The Treasures of Greyhawk is great. It's one of the most underrated publications that was ever made for Greyhawk, and it's really cool and good to see everyone.
I like Treasures of Greyhawk because the cover is blue and it's easy to find on my shelf.
Yes, as opposed to all the black bordered ones from the 2E era, they all looked identical. You're like, oh my god, is this Sea Devils? Oh no, it's not. It's it's something else. So, I know that exactly. So, yeah, you got the dice. Oh, see, that's good to hear. I found an extra pink set, and that was from the Saturday game. Both April and Chris J won them both. So that was cool to hear. Good to see. So, have any questions? Just ask them or some suggestions. But we'll start off with the big ones here. And then you have all the surrounding area. There's a lot of. I'm assuming most of these are all in this area. Almost all are living Greyhawk. Some aren't, but most of them. Thanks for getting us that hype.
If you're getting into Verbal Monk, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know about anything. Anna, do you have any idea about any of these from writing them up? It's like...
Well, it depends. We have to take them almost on an individual level because they're so.
It's so crazy when you're talking about small towns.
I think most of it is living Greyhawk, but some of them are things that were discussed on Cannon Fire back in the day. So there are a couple of them that ended from people's campaigns because I just like, oh, this is cool, and you have to realize this is long before I had any ambitions. Was like, sounds cool, I can put it in my campaign, and I just put it on the map, and then I started publishing the maps, and I haven't gone back and weeded them out. So this is the least kind of properly researched and stuff. So since they've been there for 10 years, then I just kept them there. So there are various places that are kind of things that I don't think I invented any of it. It's things that I read somewhere and it was mentioned. Someone posted about their games on Cannon Fire, and I kind of liked it. So this one is the least kind of organized of all the areas because it's so old. It's done long before it was meant to be published.
Let's talk about that though, Anna.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to go here because this is my area of Altamira, and I want you to look. Now, Esmeron's not mine. Esmeron is from... That's actually a secret enclave of giants, of stone giants and halflings.
Where is the source?
Greyhawk Adventures.
There you go, yeah.
So... what do you do in your campaign? You create little towns here, Defiles End, Gloucester's Mill, and you build them up. And you then, as Burnt Mill, that was a fun one that Alyssa Faden played in. You add them to your map as you go, and pretty soon you have more and more locations around, and you have a campaign, you have a developed campaign setting, and you can do that anywhere in Greyhawk. So I think that's kind of the gist of the discussion tonight. Is we're going to hop on some areas, and we got the same thing down in here. You have all these outposts and stuff, and not towns. There are no towns in this area. It's more like strongholds, but in this area, I got a bunch of towns. I even have a halfling village, Happy Springs.
I saw a question about Siniega, the town Siniega that is just northwest of Hamlet. That is actually from the Walker's Guide to Verbobonk from the that's the LG triad, Verbobonk triad from their source book. So it's a living Greyhawk invention. Like a lot of stuff there is, but not all of it, but most of it is.
So I got something I need to get off my chest first. The preface. When I was prepping for this, Jay, my actual prep, I started looking at the box set, right? Gygax map. Definitions in the book.
Right.
So, town, 1500 to 6500. Village is 600 to 900.
That is a great point. We need to
Hamlet,
get that
100
out.
to 400. So and then it even goes down to Thorpe, which is 20 to 80. Then like Living Greyhawk Gazetteer has totally different criteria for what makes a they had like large town, small town, village. Anna's map is even different from those two.
Yeah.
And she has her
Wiley.
small towns and villages and
Mhm.
large towns. There's a little bit of overlap, but there's like no set in stone thing on what's considered a town, what's considered a village. But so I did notice that
That
on
is
the
good. I
Darlene
have a
map,
little bit of more why that happened, so to speak.
there's
But
nothing smaller than a town on the Darlene map.
Right. No, there aren't
yeah.
any.
Mhm.
So what that led me to believe, and this is probably not true in all
thank
cases,
you, Wiley, and
but
thank you, Wayne.
if it, if you take yourself back to the early 80s and there's a town on that map, then you would assume like Hamlet is not on the Darlene map because it's too small to appear on it.
It's
It's
not
on
on
one of the bigger hexes, right?
Right.
So there should be, taken literally, there should be no dwellings on that Flamus map that are bigger than the ones already listed, right? Or they would have appeared. But I'm sure that's not the case.
You mean that they didn't exist then?
Like if you take Nairon or Furiandi, I'm sure many full-blown cities and large towns have been added since then. When you would think realistically, where this would come from, it came out in Marklands or whatever.
No, you're absolutely right, Mike. This was a devoid of people world. They wandered. They just wandered like sheep or bison or whatever.
So I can accept that there are scads of little towns and villages and thorps that people have added, either from my campaign or Anna's or Living Greyhawk. Scads them. I can live with that. But if a new city pops up, then I think that takes more explanation. Why wasn't that already on there?
Yeah, but we have examples of that. Alhaster is a city that popped up. It wasn't there originally, and it popped in. So there, and we have Sassorine is another one that wasn't there.
Well, that's
that's far away. That's not even on that Darlene.
Oh yeah, but I mean the thing is that previous writers have added in stuff. Living Greyhawk added tons of stuff from
now wars have up and down the populations too. I noticed of certain places. So when I'm like researching things, I'm like, well, it says on the 1980 map, let's say, it says this is a town, but then by Living Greyhawk comes along and now it's a full-blown city. So all my research is just like
but
I'm throwing
then
my
we
hands
have
up like whatever.
Yeah, but we have that is an interesting that has multiple answers, so to speak, and it's the same problem we have in real statistics, meaning you label things. And first we have authors that just label things in adventures, that just label it a village, that label it a town, what sounds cool, so to speak. Yes, that just sounds cool. And then because in the early edition, for basic D&D, early first edition AD&D, even second edition AD&D, there were no formal size limit set to there were no formal definition of what was a village or a town. That came in third edition. Third edition had formal rules saying that a village is so and so much. Yes, exactly. That was consistent.
Had population sizes.
There were various here and there, but the problem was that the authors of modules didn't follow them. They still called things towns and villages and stuff. So and third edition had started to quantify.
Cross our fingers and hope the third edition writers are matched with what we already had.
Yeah, and then there's my legend that is 3.5 with a twist, because I used because during all this era, the majority of the 10 years that I developed the majority of the map, I played Pathfinder first edition, and Pathfinder first edition is based on third edition or 3.5. So it's basically a slightly adjusted, because I followed those numbers that are used in Pathfinder, and especially the ultimate campaign book. So there is the reason that but you can basically, it's basically third edition rules when it comes to settlement size. And I kind of like them because they have enough definitions, and it also tied into a whole bunch of other rule sets. So there are the reasons. You have authors, no definition in the beginning, authors just having fun with names, and then quantification in later rules editions.
All right.
So good point, Anna. And that left you with your like if you want to, like I got Hardby popped up here. So why don't
Yeah.
you?
Okay.
I'll throw this up the Hardby area. Tell us, like in this we have Hardby's a city. I'm assuming that's 10,000 plus,
It's a large city, so
right?
it's between
Large
10
city.
and 25,000. Yeah.
And then with the dots are unwalled, right?
Those are small towns with no big defenses, so to speak. Yeah.
Okay.
See, Harvey's a perfect
Thanks.
example because if you go
Yeah.
by the original legend, Harvey should be no bigger than like 6,500 people.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, is that the population numbers changed over the editions too. They grew significantly each time it was published.
Because they
If you take-
realized how underpopulated
Exactly.
it was.
It was ridiculously underpopulated, and then they adjusted it. So Living Greyhawk as a tier had numbers that are way higher than the earlier editions, and
So
Living
my
Greyhawk is
frustration
even higher.
is-
Yeah.
In selecting this topic before I researched it, I don't know if we're talking about towns or cities when we bring something up.
Well,
anymore.
Yeah.
we can just say, hey, this is a this is not one of the major ones that we discuss.
I
time.
know what we know what the big cities are, but it's like Hardby. It's debatable now. It's a town or a city. I don't know.
But I would have it as a city, and I think the idea later on was to make it a city.
It's not anywhere near as big as Greyhawk, though.
No, that's true. Yeah. But
if you-
Greyhawk have grown significantly too from its humble beginnings to if you read the Gord novels and stuff, you get the sense that it's a huge place with many thousands of people in.
But if you look at this, and I'm going to bring this up, you have multiple towns like Fishtown, Oars, right? A lot of these are manor houses, but then you got RX Landing, Karnak, Pelgarn, and then Safeton's a little larger. They're all in this size that we're discussing.
The domain.
Now, what's cool about this area is you have Blue Bay. That's Patrick's, right? That's Canadians. You have, Thunderstrike Villa. That's mine. So we have.
Well,
Sandy
that's on
Shores
your
is
map.
mine.
So,
yeah,
but
exactly.
some of the other
So
ones actually made into
Yep. What you do is you have a mix of all different sizes in this area here. This is a very well developed area of the low number of population being the Hardby walls and high number being the greater Hardby population, including nearby farm. It's possible, but there's not a lot of sprawl in Hardby. Hardby's not sprawled like Greyhawk is, according to the map by Dennis Tetro. Yeah, that's a non-sprawl area. So. Yeah, and the economy and all that. So, but you have a huge number of small towns in this area. A lot of them are in the Slavers reference or in Greyhawk or the Free Greyhawk box set. Some of these are even in. So, lots of really cool. Any of these in this area, Mike or Anna, like jumps out to you as like one you want to discuss?
I like Oars. Just the name Oars is neat.
Well, also Oars is known for something.
Okay. Let's see if I can find what it's.
Oars. Anyone not in the audience? What is Oars known for? Come on, Tim. Come on, my players. If any of you guys are there, they're probably not on. Tom, the Vindicator's on. He should know. Oars has a special light crossbow. ORZ, the Oars light crossbow. It's referenced in the Slavers. It actually has a little. The bolts are special. They have a little hook on it, and when they hit by rule, and it's a supplemental rule, the person who gets hit by them wants to immediately rip it out, and so they have to make a save, or they pull it out and take extra damage. They're also masterwork, so you can take a look at that in the Slavers reference under Oars. Yep, Oars like crossbow. Fishtown has the big fish market. One of these, I think, Fishtown has the has been infiltrated by these little creatures too. I think it's Fishtown. There's a lot of interesting things in this area. Yeah, so that's Oars. And you also have some really cool areas here. Pelgarn's a haven for privateers. Not really pirates, but privateers. Yes, it's it, Langston. And thanks a lot, man, for the thank you for the follow today. So my theory is Hardby suffered one of the natural disasters. That's a possibility too, where it is. It's a good point. Yeah. Yep, it's a good one. So yeah, a lot of really great things just in this map here. And you have Safeton, which is also a place, an interesting place as well, which is in the From the Ashes box set. There's actually a map of it, that in Narwhal. So, okay, I just came to this area randomly. So, you guys want to, either of you tell me an area to go to, and we'll discuss. How's that? So I hopped down here just because I knew there was a ton of small towns and communities that you can adventure in. And there's also, even though one thing I want to stress, this map is a mix of published source and stuff I put in my campaign and stuff other people put in their campaigns. That's what you want to do with your Greyhawk. You want to grow it in your own style and your own game, and that breathes life into your campaign. Okay, that's a lot about what we're going to discuss. Mike, tell us where to go.
Well, just to go back to Hama for a bit.
Yes.
So I was looking, was focusing on populations for some reason. And apparently, the population of the village was only like 100, I guess, around the time of the module. And then after it's defeated, then I've seen a reference that the population shot up to 900 something.
Oh yeah, it became a town in the Living Greyhawk era. It was depicted as a town. There's even a town map of Hamlet.
But I couldn't find a population figure on Nulb except for the reference that it's a village.
Yeah, I don't think Nulb ever grew, so to speak.
Was Nulb at one time, was it bigger, same size, or smaller than Hama, you think?
Nulm is the river pirate haven, so it's I think it may have been larger when the temple got destroyed in pre-discussion, pre-canon at times, 569, right?
Yeah, exactly. During the temple's heyday.
In the temple's heyday, that's why it's there.
So good and evil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So and then you have this map that's from T1 through 4, and then you get to this.
Yeah.
Yep. So. Yeah, Ogre Mound is Landscath is not a town. Ogre Mound is back there is a meeting place, if I recall, where the ogres come to meet of different tribes certain times of the year or every couple of years. So as you can see, Nulb is noted as small as a hamlet Thorpe size
because
here.
it was I simply assume it was only a few houses, so to speak, that are actually inhabited or at best.
Bando.
Yeah,
finally going in. Yeah. So, like I said, a lot of these areas I have no idea. So, we can go up there too. So, all right, here's how you do it. Anna, explain. I'm gonna blow this up. Explain how you do distances here.
Oh yeah, if you see, look at the roads. There are small little dots. There are 10 miles in between, and the big dots are 50 miles in between.
Right. So between this dot here and this dot here is 10 miles.
Yeah, I'm just gonna re-verify that. So we have. So I'm.
Yeah. So between this one here and this one here is 50.
Yeah,
Did you
big dots.
measure those out by? Did you just eyeball that, or did you have a measuring tool?
I took pixel length, and then it's using a pixel distance. So it's actually the distance of the line. It's not the distance between the dots. It's the distance along the line, so to speak, of the road. So but it's measured in pixels in Illustrator. So don't take it. And that goes and. I know there's a lot of engineers and stuff that thinks of stuff like maps and stuff engineered, meaning there is with the Darlene map, 30 miles was the minimum things. Beneath that, accuracy went out the door. This one, I would say less than 5 miles.
Yes,
no, it goes. You can't measure it and say, oh, that's 2.1 and the other one is 1.8. No, it doesn't work that way because the symbols are miles across. So the symbol is
That's true.
effectively, yeah. So always realize that a map has a minimum kind of, you can, if you zoom in closer, you don't get more precision because the map is not made with that precision. So that's something to always put in mind, so to speak. So this map works perfectly to measure things down to maybe 5 miles of range, but beneath that, it doesn't have the accuracy because symbols and stuff. Yeah, it's not the purpose of the map.
That's all. Yeah, that's all you need, really. Is that?
Yeah,
Is that?
it depends on what your purpose are. Meaning you can't.
Right.
So it's not that accurate, so to speak.
But it's a good point, Mike, on noting that.
Yeah.
And so if you want to know here's where the original battle, since we're here, this is where the original battle of Temple of Elemental Evil took place.
Yeah, I should put an icon down and define it, but I've kind of kept it a little bit.
Yeah, and I like
open.
it just having the entities run there because it doesn't say, it tells you about the fight, but it doesn't say specifically. So
yeah. But we can mention also when it comes to travel time that not only the distance, but then you need to think about in your campaign how you calculate it depending on the quality of the road, the mode of transport, and also if the road is going uphill, meaning if you're going up in the yacht hills, it's probably going to take 3 times as long to go uphill compared to downhill, or it maybe twice or something, depending on the quality of the road and stuff. So and then when you calculate it during adventures, then weather, day, night, stuff like that will affect the travel times too. So there's a lot of things in that equation. But over really long distances, like you say, I'm going to travel 500 miles, these things average out. So you can just go with the road size or road condition, basically primary road this many miles. But if you just have a chase or from one day to the next, things like that should kind of make a huge difference.
Yeah, Gordon's everywhere. All right.
Yeah.
So
Theocracy of the Pale is mentioned. That was actually, Jay, was one of the first places I was going to go to. Theocracy of the Pale.
Oh, let's go there then next.
Yeah. So Fright at Trister, which I know has been talked about recently.
Yeah, good one.
Is a great example for a village. As a matter of fact, in there, it's called the Hamlet.
Yeah, and I've made it a hamlet, but I'm not really.
And the module says that because I guess of events going on in there, the population's now reduced it down to a thorp.
Yeah. So I made it a hamlet, but and that's the other thing when you put it on the map. It depends if it used to be a town and it has a wall and stuff, but it's been half ruined or people have abandoned it. Is it still a town because it has the walls and stuff? Nah.
Right.
Yeah. So it
there's even though it's depopulated, it still has the room and the infrastructure to be a full town. Yeah.
Yeah. So some of these things have more of a bigger past than the present. So I try to go by population that are actively living there, so to speak.
Sure.
And does everyone know this? Does everyone know this was one of the only ever Living Greyhawk adventures that was published?
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah.
And in that area, I also have another map note. We can mention it while we're looking at this. And there is a series of keeps that's supposed to fend off trolls and other nastiness coming from the troll fence. That is on my list to add. Now there's only 2, Northern Lights and Castle Arndulant.
Not Greyhawk.
Yeah, and Greyhawk Castle. So there should be more added, so to speak. So that's one project. That's my project to add more
have any modules set in that area?
I don't know.
Good question, but I don't know. Yep.
I don't. He must.
Yeah.
He's got them set everywhere.
So I'm not sure how many more to add and stuff. These are the ones that I found names on that are named, so to speak. And I've also been hesitant to put things for a while. I didn't put things if
are they
didn't
evenly
have
spaced?
No, not really. They are just a little bit here and there, and that's the other problem, because some of the source maps some of them are just named, they're not placed on the map. Some of them are placed on various maps of various quality and so on. So that's the other problem when you get into when you place things, and some of them are not really mentioned as settlements. They are just derived. So like you have a
Right,
knight
yeah.
that comes from castle so and so. The castle doesn't appear on a map, but I can say it's what I would call the derived settlement, meaning we can assume it's there due to the story, but it's not being placed. So I put a
Okay.
lot of stuff like that on the map too, that there are things that ought to be there because they
Gamers gotta love that though. You know, don't
Yeah.
you just like to rub your hands together like, oh boy, I get to
Well,
place
it's
a place.
yeah, it's like archaeology. It's like they're knights of protectors and death knights and whatnot that comes from
Yeah.
places, and they are not placed on any map. So, but I create those places and place them, some with Gary Julian's great help and so on. So there, some of these places might be derived
If
to.
Gary Holian is referencing someplace, it's probably in another game world that he hasn't stolen yet.
Oh, okay.
Just in case he's on.
Busted. I don't think
Yeah.
he's on yet.
And I think that's a good example of how, if you want to create a settlement for your own campaign, start thinking what a settlement would fit into the story. Meaning, do you have an evil villain? Did he grow up somewhere? Do you have a castle? Is there defensive needs and so on? And I want to deep dive in the second hour here into nature of settlement. There are many
Okay.
features, so to speak. Well, we take that discussion later when we run out of places to talk about. Yeah.
I'm gonna show something. Can
Yeah.
a village be in two places at the same time?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Wow.
I guess technically it can in the fantasy world.
Technically, it can. So if we come down into this area of the
Now I'm
Grand
curious. Do you
March.
mean planner wise?
Well, I
or
gotta
yeah.
find.
Mhm.
I gotta
Yeah.
find Orlean. Where the hell's Orlean?
It's in the north of the Rushmores.
Right, it's here.
Northwest of the Rushmores.
Is it northwest of the Rushmore? There it
Yep.
is. There it is.
Yep. Yep.
There it is. All right. So we
Very
talked
near
about Cult of the,
Farwale.
talk about Cult of the Reptile God, and you have and I don't know. Once again, a lot of these have got to be added on from Living Greyhawk eras.
Yes, exactly. They are, and
Yeah.
that was one of the problems here, because in the original adventure set in Orlean, none of that content was there. So that's why I had to expand it out a little bit so you could put them in and stuff. Yeah.
See, you got Orlean, you got Hook Hill, Orlean.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's an arrow for where Hawk is, and And notice these hexes are 30 miles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, imagine having nothing like that over plush terrain for that size. It's nuts. But that's the way it was early on, which is okay.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. So I just closed it. Duh. Let me get my folio back up. All right. So
Twin Peaks of Greyhawk. That's an awesome analogy.
Yes. Well, here's Orlean, and I move stuff. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Well, you move it home.
I move it so I can use it.
Yeah.
I don't have Orlean, but I have Lorraine. Okay.
Yes.
Same town. Yeah, because my Cult of the Reptile God I did in my Norwell campaign area, and that's where I put Cult of the Reptile God, was right there. And that's another one. And Anna, you said at the time you were impressed by this. I fit the entire town on my table.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because I really liked it, because when I saw it, I could remember just looked at the village map and
you got the big lake in the middle.
Yeah, you get to see it, and there was like a little seamstress or something living in one of the little huts next to the bridge, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. There's
Did you have to use those cardboard cutout village stuff that were in the different
in the Falcon books, remember? In the
Falcon
books,
yeah.
I think we did use some of that, but we also bought other stuff, and we made some of that ourselves too.
Yeah, and this was the crazy druid who helps use hut back here. I fit it all. The Temple of Marika was here. A very unused deity, because it first appears here, right?
Yes,
this is where that deity first appears.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, but I like it as part of the old faith. So I've written her into my pantheon or my old faith religion, so to speak.
Kafir, I appreciate that, but you, like Anna, we're here in person, along with Vamp Wickman, who's been here in person. So I've had it's growing. The number of community people that have made it out alive out of the basement is growing here. So, but just show that you know, that's what I did with my Orlean. That and Hamlet I fit on the table. I could not Saltmarsh. I could never fit on the table. It wouldn't work. But you know,
Saltmarsh?
I don't think I could fit the modern Saltmarsh, right?
Modern
The
Saltmarsh.
modern
Okay.
maybe the
I was gonna,
original I
there's
could.
another one that
Yeah,
I think the original Saltmarsh
grew a lot.
is small and then it becomes a city over
So
time.
let's run that way.
Because Seaton is supposed to be the bigger town, right? Next door.
Yeah, and I think Seaton has a little bit like the Alhaster. It was something that wasn't there originally and then
Yeah.
was placed in there later, so to speak.
And
So,
neither
yeah.
are big enough to show up on the big map.
Yeah, and then we have another one is the red. What is scroll? Hang on a second.
Yeah.
I need to go down so I can see here. Oh, no, I went a little bit too far here. Red Shore is another one that is it's a city, but it's never has any detailed or anything.
Right.
Meaning it's a city on that Red Shore Island, and it's mentioned as a city, but that's all we know. And to me, it's kind of interesting. We get all these details on small little settlements, and then there's like a huge. That's like talking about a village, and then New York lakes next door, and no one even mentioned it. There's a lot of important stuff that should influence things more, I guess, if you pay proper attention to it. But it's just there in the background. So
there's, and this area has, you know, is the one area you're allowed to legally develop.
Yeah.
Watsy.
Well, you're allowed to publish it. Yeah, the other one you.
Where is Red Shore mentioned?
I forgot where
it's on the Ghost of Saltmarsh map. I'm almost positive.
One of the dungeon adventures.
Now I'm going to.
Is it a dungeon? I don't know if it's a dungeon. But so I got to do this. I have to. Because I have a town here, right here. Dave and a bunch of people played, and I'm going to pull a Casey. There we go. There's the Dun Mounds. That little halfling village is right there, and that's my Horror and Holes adventure, and it's on this map right there.
Red Shore, yeah, Red Shore is mentioned in Dungeon 92 for some reason. I'm just
Dungeon 92. Okay, good catch, Mike. That was good to hear.
Yeah, so. and let's see, and it's also mentioned, but that might not be.
Let me give you some discords here. So we have
population?
Two. We got Cannon Fire. I'm going to give you, and the Greyhawk events one for the cons and fundraisers and special promotional things that are going on, and then you can get Greyhawk Online, the third one, if you go to their website. All right. So there you go, and thanks for that question. What was that? I'm sorry, Mike. What was that?
What's the population of Dun Mound?
Dun Mounds at the start of the adventure, like 15 to 20 halflings left because it's sinking.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
So,
but if you're successful, then it comes back, right? If you're successful removing the threats, then the Dun Mounds can thrive again. Mm-hmm. You're welcome. And there's always discussions going on there on you know, Cannon Fire. There's a live chat and stuff. So yeah, that's it. No, don't worry about that. That's all right, man. Easy going here. Yeah, if you just stay and lurk and just leave it on, it's all good. It counts as viewers. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes, you did, man. Thank you. I still am working on what I'm running this year. I think I'm going to run, and Mike ran this. Mike was in this, but I think at GaryCon I'm going to run. I'm going to pull back out. I think Katana ran this too at Gen Con because it's just so iconic, and you get to go through Greyhawk City, and that is a delve into the Lord's tomb. I think I'm going to run that as one of the things I do. But that's time. You know, I got to get all the time permitting's working out. Cool. So, Anna, what were you looking up? Red Shore?
Oh yeah,
it's in Dungeon 92.
I found some.
We just did Dungeon 92 a couple of weeks
ago.
Yeah,
I've gone. It might be some other Red Shore because it's just searching for the word, so I don't get context. So there is but it might be Red Shore for some other reason, but it's so I need to dig deeper. But it's actually in a bunch of Keelland documents. it's mentioned,
Oh, it's
but
probably in
that
Gary's
so
Keelan.
it's in Living Greyhawk stuff, but it's mentioned there somewhere, but
Right,
it
but
might not have actually made it into modules. So
yeah, but I'm saying
it's
Gary wrote the Keelan articles for
yeah.
Living
So
Greyhawk.
so it is actually in the bunch of So I got sent a bunch of documents from Living Greyhawk that was not that was just
Just what was there to
triad
get them on the map.
stuff and all sorts of stuff. So there might be something that made it to my map that never made it into the Living Greyhawk. So sometimes it's a little bit iffy. But when I found a juicy city, I just put it there.
Here's a good point. I want Anna to explain that. She has a 598 map and a 576 map.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these things don't appear to Living Greyhawk, but they don't explain that they were there in 576, right?
Well, yeah, that you have the problems with retcon, and there are two ways of looking at this. Some people look at it from a publishing perspective, meaning, okay, we say that 576, it's the original box set and the folio, they were set in 576. So everything that was mentioned either on maps or in those publications make it to the 576 map. And then when you move forward timeline to 598, you include Sargent, From the Ashes, all that, even including Hawk and stuff. So that's the publishing way of looking at it. But that's not the way I've looked at it. I've looked at it from a world building perspective, meaning if someone comes up, Alhaster is a perfect example. Someone comes up later with the city of Alhaster and put it there and write up the story for it and say it's been there. Then we can assume from this, when we read the story about Alhaster, that is the story is written and published later, but we can simply assume from that story and the background of the city that the city must have been there for a few hundred years, or at least 100 years, meaning that it was there in 576. And that's my take on it, so to speak. I know some people are much more keen to follow the published history and canon, and all that is very important. And that's one way of interpret the content. That's not the way my brain works, so to speak. So I want to build a kind of a working model of the setting. I don't care that much if it was published early or late or exactly who wrote it. It's more like if it fits into the general picture and add context and interesting stuff, it goes in. That's more of my approach to it, and that depends. For some people, that's anathema and not how you should do things, and for others, this is kind of awesome because it gives me a more interesting canvas to play on. So I can totally see that and understand that this is something that could be contentious, and whatever way you're doing it, you will end up with some people not liking it, no matter what, so to speak. So yeah.
And note the following. You don't need to use everything on these maps. Anna's trying to do her best job to fill.
Yeah.
I mean, because you heard the complaint, and Mike's dead on.
Yeah.
There is no physical possible way. Like when you go, is there besides the capital, is there any town mentioned in Niron on the Darlene map?
Exactly, they're not, and they came later. And then comes the
people.
Marklands, meaning that, and it was mentioned a few places that there during the Gary's Gygax era of Niron. There's probably like 10 places or so mentioned. There are a few mentioned in early the Gord novels, and there's some in adventure stuff, but not much. And then come the Marklands, and that tripled it, and all of a sudden there's like 30 or 40 places or something mentioned. And then comes Living Greyhawk and add another 20, 30 40 places.
Every area is being developed.
Yeah, exactly, they're being developed, and
most
that means that and so I try, my maps is kind of the best of, in so to speak, of what's been published, but it's a different approach, and that's why I also give the AI files so people can start deleting things, so to speak. And there was I even made a Darlene version of my map that only had the Darlene things on it, nothing, no borders, no roads, only the Darlene things, and that was it on top of my terrain, so to speak. I need to put that on the new website. That's going to put that on my to-do list. Yeah.
So if we go back to some of the earliest ad publications, we go to the Free City of Greyhawk box set, which
Yeah.
started adding them. The Grossekrodel gets added, right?
Yeah, that's a good example. Meaning that
Yeah.
then the box set adds a lot of stuff that wasn't there originally.
Yep.
in
Yeah.
Elmshire.
Mhm.
Elmshire,
Yeah.
and then and then some of these down here get added in from the ashes. Two Ford, right?
One
Um,
Ford, two Ford.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Mhm.
There's everyone, man. There was a huge argument on one of the sites,
Like
chatting about, well, if it's a Ford, how the hell is it navigable? I was like,
Yes, exactly.
I don't even want to go there. Yeah,
Exactly. And that means that, and it's up to how much realism you want, so to speak. For some people, if it's good for the story, that's the way it is. And for other people is that no. I need to take seasonal title, whatever. Some of them might even be worse
right.
than me, but I'm probably among the worst ones. I will start thinking, what's the tide, seasonal levels in flood water, etc., etc., etc. So no fording, so to speak. But I like the names because they and you never know, things change. Before it was like, meaning my campaign we have prior to Grey Kingdom, the river was much smaller because it was only the Grey Run and Salintan, and it wasn't that big. And then
a
someone,
nice fix would
yeah,
just be to call it one ferry and two ferry.
Yeah, and I think it's just one of those oversights that happens, right? It just, oh, it's navigable, but how's there for,
yeah,
it's just one
and
of those things.
that's the other thing. So you need to, and there
Um,
I think you need to, as a DM, you need to think, what are my play style? What do I need for my campaign?
Hmm.
In some campaigns, you want title things, you want seasonal flood levels and all sorts of stuff. Others skip that. It's not interesting in my games.
Yep.
My players will not demand it, and skip it. I need a Ford. There is a Ford, so to speak. So that is something you as a DM you should think. What do I want to get out of the game, and what do I think my players want to get out of the game?
Rex
And
wants to know if your heraldry is for individual towns or just for noble families.
it depends. Heraldry is usually for bigger entities like countries, provinces, cities, and towns. But there are individual heraldry here and there, like we have for and some of them overlap. We have an example is the Walworth that is for the earldom of Walworth. That's also the Walworth family heraldry. So in a lot of sense, it's the same thing, meaning it's the baron's personal heraldry, but it's also the heraldry of the barony or the whatever it is. So in a medieval world, I assume a lot that the personal and I mean it's my country, and
So
a lot
when
of places
takes over, it should be called the earldom of Vane.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you have things like Stonehold and whatever. I can simply say it's Redvord sitting up there. It's his shield, and it's his country. It's like his people. It's doesn't have a power of its own. I mean, it's his country. It's belonged to him and stuff. But that is something you can. Some countries you can have it that way, and some countries no. It's kind of different.
Or you can have heraldry for adventuring groups, like 2 drink
Yeah.
minimum and the Slav Squad. Right? You can just have fun with it. It's a
Yeah.
game. Enjoy it, and that's
Yeah.
I got
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that there you also have it. It's for your game style, meaning
Yeah.
do you want to have cool knightly orders? You have a thieves guild with symbols, merchant guilds with symbols, churches and stuff like that. I put tons of symbols and heraldry and stuff into my game, and sometimes I just put it on a shield. In campaign, it might never appear on a shield. It might be sewn into or painted on walls outside, or it just be like a shield thing that hangs outside a temple. It never becomes a shield that anyone wears in combat, but it's a thing they bang on the door to show that we are the merchant guild, for instance, but they never use it in combat. But it might be legal, and in some areas it might be illegal for anything to have a symbol if it doesn't belong to, like Pale, for instance. They might be the priest, the clergy there might not approve of symbols of anything more than what they approve of for religious orders and stuff. So that might be a lot of things, and that could be fun. And you can introduce heraldic knowledge as a substitute of culture or history or something. And that you can have characters understanding and knowing a lot about heraldry. So you can make like a DC and say DC 18, and you can interpret this weird old shield that hangs there, and that could be a lead in you.
You got it. It just makes the game more fun. Like Altamira.
Yeah.
Altamira Bounty Hunters Guild, right? They're similar but
Yep.
different, and just that's the fun part. Just go
So
with it
it's
however
something
you
to play.
want.
Yep. This heraldry is one of these dimensions you can dive deep into if you want to,
Yeah.
or you can skip over it and say, no.
Does one grant come up with their own coat of arms, or is a royal college of some sort dole them out?
It depends. I think it's in different countries. You can have institutionalized countries that have strong institutions. There you can have that it's an institution that issue things, and you have to, if you are like an upcoming, let's say you are by the king in Nyrond or Valuna or some country that has been around for hundreds of years. I can see that they have a royal college of history or whatever. That
in Greyhawk you can buy a title.
Exactly. So let's say in one of these areas that are institutionalized, so to speak, very lawful and stuff, then you say the king of Nyrond, he issues you become a baron, you get some land and you get a title. Then you have to figure out either he will simply say you need to use this shield, or you can simply appeal and say I want to have a griffin on my shield and I want it to have. Then you have to appeal both for the king, and the king will simply go to his advisors at
someone already has it taken. Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. So then you have to send in your application, and then the king will send it to that institutions of scribes or historians or lore masters of heraldic blah blah something, and they will sit and think about it for a month. If you give them $1,000 gold pieces, they might think about it for a week and then come with and then you bribe the king a little bit more and say you pay a little bit extra, and then you get it in a couple of days and you get your crest.
What about wizards? I know we're totally going off on a tangent.
Yeah,
why do wizards?
Mordenkainen has one. Tensor has one.
Exactly. I think it's powerful. They need it for? PR. I think it's
bragging.
PR. Exactly. If you are a power broker, you need to have a symbol to present in various places, to put outside on your keep.
So
and to have
literally have flags on.
Exactly.
Tensor's castle.
Yeah, and if you have guards and stuff, if you want to appear important, you have warriors protecting you that wear that shield. Meaning it's a literal way of projecting soft power, so to speak, that people recognize you. And we also assume a lot of commoners can't read, so a symbol is very good. It's easy to convey the meaning both to plebeians and commoners and to learned people at once, and you can tell a story with it. You can tell who you associate with, who your friends are, who your enemies are, who your relatives are, and stuff like that. Yeah, and you can scare or you can you can show off trust, you can scare and all sorts of stuff with it.
I think the coat of arms thing makes. I don't know how it is in Birthright. I'm assuming they have it in there, but it was not around long enough. Makes Greyhawk so much different from Forgotten Realms or Dragonlance.
Yeah.
Having that original, all that heraldry up and just developing it, it's a cool thing. And like I said, you don't need to follow European style rules on that. It's a fantasy setting.
Exactly, yeah. But I think it should have rules, but the rules can be different in different areas. Meaning Keoland can realize we have our rules, and they've been around longer than the Great Kingdom. And then the Great Kingdom had their rules. And then countries who are not part of the Great Kingdom, like when the Viceroyal of Ferron, when they broke, they simply say, now we make our own rules. And it was maybe kind of a statement to break with the Great Kingdom rules and simply say, just to show off that we dare to stand up to power, so to speak. So it might be a political statement to break the rules. And Bandit Kingdom might do it just on purpose, just to piss off everybody, or stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, to get sort of back on track.
It's all right.
Sorry,
in the Greyhawk domain area, I was looking at the mining towns.
Yeah.
I used to use, from the Greyhawk box set. I used to use those all the time, and then I was really
Yeah, that's where I
delighted
am
when
right here. Diamond
Diamond
Lake.
Lake was used in Age of Worms. I was just totally delighted by that. And so I saw in there that
Blackstone Steaming
Diamond
Springs.
Lake has 2,200 people in Age of Worms. Okay,
That's a lot.
Yeah.
that is a lot, but there's no reference to the other mining towns, what their
It's a large
populations are.
town according to my
Yeah. So
size. Yeah.
But I saw in the box set that Diamond Lake is the smallest
right.
of the three
Oh,
towns.
Right,
yeah.
which is bizarre
Yeah.
because I'll tell you
Yeah.
right now, Blackstone. I just used Blackstone. This one here is inside the granite or the walls go all the way up, and it's all the mining's in
Yeah.
the side, and it's in a ravine. How the hell is that bigger than?
So I think
Yeah.
Paizo jumped up the population
Yeah.
of the town,
Oh, thanks, Patrick, for doing
which
that
is
for
an
Hannah.
easy oversight.
Oh,
If there wasn't,
sorry,
She
you
got
you
that's
got
all right.
me. Yep.
Patrick got you.
aha,
Yeah. So
Damn.
Blackstone,
Shame.
Steaming Springs, and Diamond Lake. Those are the
Yeah.
three. Yeah.
because
No.
the population goes down the farther away from the city you go.
Right.
I think it was the logic.
Yeah.
Diamond Lake is detailed in the Dungeon Adventure pit. Yes, we're talking about the Age of Worms. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about the other mining? They're not. They're only in. All three of them are in the Free City of Greyhawk box set. Okay, and that's where
Blackstone's referenced, like they put a monastery up there.
Yeah, Blackstone is yes, they do.
But Steaming Springs, I don't think was mentioned.
So Blackstone already just recently has in front of it has stuff. It has 2 towers guarding the entrance that were. Yeah, this is I just did it right. I just had it so that you had to go. You had to clear out the area from the baddies that were overtaking that. I can't even find it. All right. So yeah, I mean, but it's great to have these towns developed and have a little bit of information, and you take them and you run with it from that point on. That's the thing, and that's why Mike, I was happy too. I agree with you. I was very happy to see that they took Diamond Lake and they used that as a focal point, right?
Yeah,
a focal
developed.
Point. Yeah,
the people and places in there.
Yeah.
And
Rex Phillips has a good comment that there is medieval demographics. You have like a couple of hundred people, like a village every few miles, and in an agricultural area that makes sense. So Nyrond and Alyssa and like Central Great Kingdom, part Furiundin, Nyrond, Ernst, and Keoland, I think they are smock full of little villages and tiny towns. Yeah. So there's probably hundreds of them in each of them. So and that's why you get population of a few million in some of these big countries like Nyrond and stuff. Should probably have a couple of million people, 1 million or 1.5 million or something. And that means maybe 500 or 1,000 small little villages that are not on anyone's maps yet, so you can just develop. That leaves a lot of headroom too, and along these big roads and stuff, and in between and so on, there's tons of villages.
You don't need to overdevelop the Greyhawk, the map, the area. Just work on the area you were adventuring in.
Exactly. Develop
it.
what you need. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's like it's going on, and it doesn't need to be every. Gosh, I'm not trying to offend anyone here. You don't need to canonize the entire world before you start your Greyhawk setting, right? You don't need to know that. You don't need to know if I'm running something here in Divers. I don't need to know all the villages along the border here, running up along the near deep. I don't need to know that until I actually have an adventure going on there.
Yeah, I usually start developing a couple of years before I start adventuring in an area. So I start getting to it and I start thinking about it, making notes, and then start populating it a few years prior to. So I started populating Shieldlands a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, and now I'm still developing it as we go forward.
Right. It is a fantasy setting, right? Monsters. Mm-hmm. There's no monsters running around. There's bandits, maybe not much.
Yeah.
Wow.
I also think that the density of settlements varies a lot, meaning the areas need to be safe, and they also need to be prosperous enough, meaning they should be fertile land and stuff. Otherwise, no one will live there, except for other reasons, so to speak. But agriculture areas that are safe have lots of villages and settlements. Areas that are not safe, they don't have hardly any. That's my
Points
general.
Of light?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is. It's all over the place on those
Mhm.
population densities. All right. So Andy, you got
Hex map.
yes. Andy, you got a place you want to go to?
Let's see here. I'm always we have one area that I think it's kind of interesting for several reasons when it comes to this, that is enormously underutilized, and that is the Falls River north of the Lorridges or Lort Mills. Between the Lort Mills and the Yacht Hills, there is a valley and the Falls River,
Yeah, right here.
and there is a bunch of, and now I need to take the public map here so I can go to the right map here.
Yeah, you got Falls Ridge, Falls Ford, Falls Key.
Yeah, exactly.
Calumet.
There's an interesting, and here is another reason for settlements, and that is communications. And back in times, earlier times when land travel was kind of difficult, rivers were much more of an artery of commerce and transport, so to speak. So I can sense that this area has that there are some cities and some towns, and they were added in mainly during the Living Greyhawk era. But here I think that most of this stem from the trade with Thornwood, and the other reason is there's trade between the Sheldamar Valley and then east, so to speak, and also the trade with the Beclunish Empire through Thornwood and then east, and then going up and down along the river. So a lot of these settlements are probably every so and so many miles when they needed to stop and take a nap and take some R&R and stuff. That's where the town sprang up. And then there's also the other good thing is that they have fresh water, meaning the Falls River is probably it's a huge river and big enough to have plenty of water all year round, and that means that it's good. There's a lot of people who want to travel through. Wealth comes through. Water is abundant, and it's also an area where you can probably grow things. So there should be lots of stuff there, so to speak, and so I think that there's Arizona, and there's some fairly big lakes that I added in just because it kind of the fractals kind of made me lakes there, and I thought they were cool. So
yeah.
so I built
the map.
I added some of the lakes.
The original Darlene map was missing tributaries like crazy.
Oh yeah, exactly. You only have the very biggest rivers.
Yeah.
It was like having a map of the U.S. and you will have Mississippi and the Colorado River and maybe the Missouri River, and that will be it, so to speak. You wouldn't get any smaller rivers than that. And anyone who traveled across America or Europe knows that there are more than the 5 biggest rivers. And so the rivers that are on the Darlene map, they are big enough that you need to swim across them. It would take a long time to. So they're hundreds of feet across, basically. That's the rivers that are on there. So I think that that's an area that is ripe for putting lots of settlements in for various reasons.
Once again, wherever you're playing in, there's plenty of room, no matter where it is. Even Verba Blanc, right? There's plenty of room to put in your own communities.
Yeah.
There's some areas like before Mike got developed, all was devoid, right? County of Ulick, which I've been working on, and Carlos a bit, that was devoid of anything because it really wasn't being used in Living Greyhawk at all. But see, I've developed a lot of it. Same thing with Celine, right? Celine was pretty devoid, and then you have, I guess, you come over here 10, of course, but because they've destroyed it multiple times. There's a lot of areas that they're really barren, and then you could just the Great Kingdom. If you look at the Undying map, I mean that is filled.
That's a first, it's a first good step towards detailing.
But even that's not enough.
No, but you get a lot of the cities and the large towns are there. I mean, you get interesting places like Yalpa and Old Ridge and stuff like that, Rasfern and stuff, and city places like that are important, and you can kind of really they should have been there all the time, the whole time. So it gives the basic fabric of that region, so to speak, and then you need to fill in the holes in between, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's do this.
At Norcam, yeah, I've probably talked about it 20 or 30 times on the show that rivers tend to flow downhill. My thesis on fantasy maps, my theory on that is that people naturally draw rivers down on the paper or towards you. It feels natural when you hand draw maps to have rivers flowing downhill, meaning down on the paper, so to speak, towards you. So that's my theory why there are so few rivers flowing north on because it feels wrong. Yeah, exactly.
There's barely any. So, for example, let's come over to our Vespi northern Friandi area. Before, from the Ashes / then the Marklands and Eyes of Evil, you didn't have a lot of these smaller towns running along this line, up and about here, and then even in the central. Yeah, the whole. I mean, and Friandi gets developed. Littleburg, wasn't there, and then all the other ones get. So
I like the ones in the south, the little bitty towns, but they're like super rich.
Yeah, the Gold County, the Gold County here, right here.
Yeah.
Yep. Walthane and Livernon.
Yeah.
Because of
and
good. Man.
I was going to say one of the reasons I think they are rich is because they are both fertile and also safe. Meaning that I use and the enemies and the nasty stuff are hundreds of miles away. So you can kind of live there for several generations before a dragon kills you or demon invasion or IUs comes and murder you, or there's not that many
house prices probably went up there, huh?
Exactly. Yeah.
People fleeing Crockport and whatnot.
So like Central Furiundi, Central Nyrond and Ernst and Central Keelland are probably as safe as it comes in Greyhawk. And I think that stability and safety, that brings prosperity, and especially in a fantasy world where you have less magic or monster or natural catastrophe happens, so to speak.
Willip was one of the towns that vexed me when I was looking at the map.
That's
on Darlene's map, it shows as a town.
Right.
But then every source I've seen since then, it's a city.
Yeah, because it was the place where I think it was Card Sergeant that placed the Furiundian Navy and their shipyards and all that in Willip, and then it finally was upgraded during LG era to become a metropolis because of the naval resources and stuff, and also because I think it's a city that has a lot of sprawl, meaning you have a well-defended naval city and then a naval base, and then things spread out from there, so to speak. So yeah.
There was not a lot of early development and reasoning behind a lot of stuff that was done, and then it was all retconned. I mean, just a lot of it was retconned, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
And then you have, you have an island. We should live.
That doesn't have that much development. I've added a few more. I've added a few more towns and stuff to it, and I've, eventually that was my test area to map. So I have like 7 different versions of it with various forms of details. So eventually I will sit down and it will be part of my Shieldlands mapping project soon. So when I get there you have Alhester, that coast. Yeah. Should we go in and just mention a little bit different types of settlements?
Sure.
Because you have sizes is one thing, but we also have types. And I think that's important. And that's basically, when I talk about types, I'm talking about the reason for the settlement to exist in the first place.
Okay.
And the one we kind of most associate when we look around are farming, meaning it's simply there because people farm the area, grow crops and cattle and stuff, and even there they're different depending on, some of them might be a cattle town, or some of them might be when they grow grains and stuff. But usually most farming was not as intense as it is in our world. It was more like subsistence farming. They had a few pigs, some chickens, a cow, and some fields, and they basically grew what they ate.
Everything's basically animal, vegetable, mineral primarily?
Kind of, yeah. So you have the farming community is probably the most common because the people need to eat, and you didn't go somewhere far to get your food. You sourced it locally where you lived. People lived where most of population lived where they could grow the food where they existed, so to speak. But then you have another version of that, and that's the coastal one, fishing village. And then all of a sudden you have a complete, in many ways, a different type of settlement.
Deep, yeah.
Yeah, so you have a lot of, and they don't need to be coastal, meaning ocean. They can be coastal lake. They can be a tiny lake and a river, and that makes a different type of village, so to speak. That, and also a different type of industry, because most of these fishing villages, then you need someone to build boats, make ropes, and all the stuff that goes with it, so to speak.
I identify with the saying because I live in the agricultural town, let's say.
Yeah.
But when people want to go eat fish, they go to the village on the Mississippi.
Yeah.
Not too far, and that's where all the fish is caught.
Yep. And I also think that even in the fantasy world, fish is probably something that you don't only harvest fish or take fish for your own consumption. You probably sell it, so to speak. So you salt it, or you smoke it, or you dry it, and then you put it into jars or barrels or whatever, and then you ship it off to someone and sell it. So and farmers do that too with a lot of products, so to speak. You bring your cows to the bigger market and stuff. That's why you get the other marketplace towns, so to speak, and those are some of them that they are kind of the most examples are a lot of the big cities that are not port cities, but even port cities, you have a settlement that grows bigger, not because people prefer to live there originally. It just, if you have like 20 little villages and towns spread out over Furundi, when there is a good point when people gathered to sell and buy horses and cows and chickens and sell their wares, that's where trading place started. And then you get like the market town, so to speak, the marketplace. That's another classic settlement type, so to speak, that has a lot of these. And then when the marketplace grow, you have things like smiths, wagon people that build wagons and service things.
We all know Greyhawk City started out as a trade town.
Exactly.
Is the city of Greyhawk older than Hardby?
I think as a village, it might be as old, but I have it as a city. Hardby grew first. That's my sense. Yeah, first, and then Greyhawk grew later, so to speak. That's my personal take in my campaign. That they're both old, but Hardby became big first.
So in an alternate world, we could have had Greyhawk spring up where Hardby is, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Hardby is right. Hardby's
yeah.
And to me it would be that Hardby is actually the most strategic location because you have coastal as well. So that's why I had to kind of fiddle with the canal and stuff like that in order to make Greyhawk more strategic than it is naturally, so to speak. Yeah. But then you have another town that is, we've talked about farming, fishing, and marketing town. Another one is a mining town. The town is, and that becomes a completely different town in layout, people that lives there and stuff like that, and a town that not necessarily produce all the resources. Yeah, so they import food and people and stuff in order to and then they extract ores and stuff.
Population goes down.
And also what they produce in iron ore or nickel or whatever, copper, whatever they are mining is normally not consumed there or produced. They just maybe refine it, and then so they cut away, so they cut to the bare metals, so to speak, or the whatever it is they're mining, and refine it a bit and then ship it off. And so they tend to be dirt poor and a lot of hard work, but it can be pay off well too, depending on. So that's another of typical settlement type, so to speak. Yeah, and another one we mentioned a little bit is way stations, and that is like if you have a trade route, you have a certain type of place that is just there to cater to travelers. It has an inn, a wagon repair shop, a smith, and a little bit of that, and a safe place to stay. And they can be in an area, but they usually have enough local produce in the form of farm and stuff like that, but it could be like a small farming community, but it has more of it might have an oversized inn, so to speak, because the big industry is to cater for all the people that flow through for one reason or the other.
Big thing would be the ones between Hardby and Greyhawk would be examples.
Exactly. Yeah.
All up and down here.
Yeah.
So it like, says a hamlet would be a way station.
Exactly. Between going from Fubobonk down to Celine or something like that. So a lot of people flowed through. Yeah. So that's one. And then you have another one are religious sites. Like it could be a temple somewhere or something where people they go
Do
there
we
on
have an
pilgrimage
example
or
of
something.
that?
Yeah, the Temple of Marika in Orleans itself was.
Yeah, we can
So
have.
that's the reason for the town to be
I think
there.
that's when it
is the
started. It was
temple.
Okay, yeah,
Marika's farming, right?
Mhm.
Cost of
Yeah,
farming.
yeah, and you can think about like that there is a holy oak or something like that the Druids go to a Druid grove or something like that, and then there spring up a
I guess
town
I'm just
around
trying to
it.
think of something on a larger scale. You're talking
Let
like
me
a
think about that.
a Mecca type city, right?
Well, we can think about big ones like
Yeah.
you, in Spain you have the there is a Compostela in Spain is a typical example in the real world that in medieval times were huge and people did pilgrimage from all over Europe to Compostela in Spain because it was the town that was not taken by the Moors and therefore it was like, oh, it was a Christian miracle because it was still standing there as so you can build that. You can say that a city they have a huge temple and the clerics there they can do miracles and
Mitric
so
and Valuna City would be good candidates.
yeah, Mitric and Viluna City. Yeah, perfect. So they're
And then that pile of rocks, Chathold.
Yeah, and they could be seen as a kind of a tourism in a fantasy medieval tourism kind of thing. So and on the way you will have all sorts of cities that or settlements that cater to the people that go back and forth. So that's another one. And then you have traditional. I put them in because that might be things that are like. I'm thinking one example in Greyhawk would be the Erutuvar of the wolf nomads. So it might be the traditional place where they gather like once a year to select new leaders. Exactly. Nomad cultures and stuff might have traditional get together. Like they have a settlement, that's where they get together once or twice a year or to celebrate or stuff like that. So that is a traditional, or it might simply be the birth. There's a myth saying that we were born here, our culture were born here, or the biggest hero or huge battle, we won a victory here 1,000 years ago, so people go there and it's kind of an honor to live there. So you have it springs up due to stuff like that. And then another type is defensive cities, meaning we have a border that needs to defend, so we build a castle or a keep in order to defend the border, and then it needs a lot of people to man it, and then these people need servicing and food needs to grow, and they need people that can maintain their equipment and so on and so forth. All of a sudden you have a town there. So if the military for some reason goes and spend money and spend time there, that is a business opportunity. So that springs up the whole service economy around it. And we can see frontier places that on borderlands, like we talked about Pale, up against the troll fence. Each of these castles up there might spring up a little settlement around it that service the people that are stationed there. So that's another type of settlement that has a different population and a different layout and are based and have a base for a different type of adventure. So yeah.
Where's Cord's Hold, Mike?
Norker's he's off in his own world over there.
Cord's Hold, that's a cool one.
It is a good name, but
yeah.
No.
So those are some of the settlement types you can play with in your campaign, and you can start seeing that they can be placed in different areas, and they also function differently. Different people live there, they have different resources, different problems, different opportunities for adventuring, etc. So yeah.
Cool. It's all good.
Yeah.
That's so.
Yeah.
Let's see here. As a template of like Western type.
Anyhow, a lot of that, Anna, reminds me of the old companion rules set. How when you start your own domain, you roll for your resources. So it's either an animal, vegetable, or mineral resource, and kind of goes from there. Companion.
The companion to the Mensa bread box.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really good. So, all right. Any locations you guys want to go over and discuss?
I have two more aspects, but please go
for
on.
it. Do the aspects. Do the aspects.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Another one, we've talked about the purpose of why a settlement is there. That's important to what kind of nature it has. But also what geography is it placed in? Meaning, is it sitting on plains? Is it sitting on a hillside? Is it even dug into a hillside? Is it dug in a dwarven city or dwarven village in a mountain, so to speak, with just little holes, defensive out? So you have things like that. Is it in a forest? Is it in open grassland? Is it a coast, a river, or lake, or something like that? These are also, meaning that will kind of detail how would they defend themselves, so to speak. And there you also have it. Is the area safe, or is it under siege, so to speak? You have the defensive outpost will probably have walls and crenellations and will be my modern bailey with a defensive moat and all sorts of nasty stuff to stop the enemy. If it's in the middle of the plains in Furyundi, they don't bother with a fence even. They just you don't need any of it. So that also depends. And if in an adventure, if you want to go in and steal something or find something out, the nature of the settlement and its geography will kind of dictate a lot how the adventure will go, so to speak, and how you approach it. And then there's another aspect that is people don't think about it, and that is persistence. Is the town eternal? Has it been there for 5,000 years since the foundation of Keoland or even ancient Flan? Or is it seasonal? Is it a market town that just springs up every summer and stays until winter comes? Because that's where the farmers come and start selling and buying all their grains and stuff during. Is it something that pops up for Midfest or Growth Fest and stay over summer? Is it something that just is there over winter?
That's
when
definitely
the nomads...
how it is in all.
Yeah.
In all, it's up and down, depending
seasonal.
on the
Yeah, you can think all the nomad ones, meaning you might gather in one southern place for winter, and then when summer comes, you go up and spread out over the large area to graze and hunt and stuff. And then when winter comes, you gather together again and sit down and wait for spring to come, or vice versa. You might follow migrating animals to hunt them, or something like that. So you have seasonal settlements, and then you have event-driven settlements, meaning you might have a joust that happens out in the open field in some area, and a whole tent city springs up. For the 4 days of tournaments or something.
Woodstock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You have stuff like that and things like that.
I know Eric Amundsen was asking if towns spring up. I guess, is he referring to like near adventure hotspots? Would that be the same way?
That might be, exactly. You might have a war, for instance. All of a sudden, there is the war, and you have siege and so on. Meaning you lay siege.
Can last a long time.
Exactly, they can last for a few years, and that means that you will. Yeah.
I recall there's a one time in I think it was ancient Roman times where the siege was sieged.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Towns
so you could be
up.
And they can last for a year or two or something like that. And even if they last for a few months, that's a huge opportunity campaign wise and stuff. So that's come. And then you have the nomadic ones, meaning that they are towns that spring up overnight, meaning you have 1,000 wolf nomads who come with their caravan with tents and stuff, and they sit down and put up some tents, and all of a sudden you have 2,000 of them, and they might be gone the next day or two and stuff. So they are very kind of nomadic, meaning they come and go and just follow wherever good hunting is or other opportunities like that. So
the rovers.
And then you have the wealth and governance, meaning who is it a wealthy place? Is it brimming with money and importance, or is it dirt poor just there it's an outcast because they have nowhere else to go? They might be, they're simply forced out and they're living on nothing more than bare grass and whatever they can scrape by.
Is Mage Point, I don't know why my mind went to Mage Point. Is Mage Point a functioning town in one of your criteria, or is it just like a garrison for
I want to have it as a functional settlement, because my criteria for functional settlement is that people live there more or less consistently, and they somehow survive and
it's not just an army, it's
exactly. If it's a place where it's consistently inhabited, that's my definition of a settlement, so to speak. So in that sense, yes. But then you have the other, that's governance, meaning is it a place that governs itself, or is it just completely chaotic? Is it just like a bunch of allies that meet just to show off who the bravest and biggest is, and bring their tents? That you can say it's completely ungoverned, and someone who wants to slay you, or you can slay someone else, and the others will either laugh or hunt you out of town, but you don't know. Or if it's something that is highly governed under the king or a mayor or a lord or something like that. So those are also aspect, both governance and wealth, that also affects how the settlement would function in your campaign, so to speak.
Would
Now I'm done.
Turro-Camby count as a village? A floating village?
Sorry, who? What?
Are you familiar with that?
Turro-Camby?
Turro-Camby.
Oh yes, that's I'm vaguely familiar, because Troy put it on the map later, so to speak. So, well, if
I thought I would plug some Troy lore.
Yeah. I would say if it's something that has intelligence and culture who's persistently lives there, then I guess that will be But I haven't gone into.
I think would be in your categories. It would be like a trade hub for aquatic races. As well.
And then we have the whole Underdark thing too. But I try to be very kind of have a kind of an inclusive, inclusive way of looking at it, so to speak.
Ooh, Greyhawk Lake Town is
Lake Town. That's another cool thing. Meaning towns they can be
stilts.
they can be built, or they can be floating towns. Meaning Renee, what if Renee put together 20 of their barges, and that will become a village or town?
I like it. And you think they would do that during storms or something?
Oh, sure. I'm sure they would. And it will be kind of a cool way of socializing, of trading, and also for defensive purposes. It's much better to be in a group than be by yourself, so to speak.
That reminds me of the Kevin Costner movie Waterworld too much. I don't know if I can handle that.
I haven't seen Waterworld, so I'm good.
The smokers.
Yeah, I heard
How much
that it was
for this jar of dirt, Jay.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a rented camp. There's a rented camp here. Up here. Imagine maybe it's part barge. Connections. So
and meaning that there's many of these there's more to a settlement that meets the eye originally, so to speak. So you need to start thinking outside the box a little bit, make the box a little bit bigger, and for interesting variation and stuff. And that's one of my little problems I have with a lot of traditional settlement maps, fantasy ones. They are almost always showing things that are flat and built with little houses. And there comes another one. If you look at old Viking villages, they didn't have tiny houses. Often there was one big long house that everybody in the village lived in. The Lord had his big share, and then people lived, their families and stuff lived in the Lord's
kids are never going to move out.
Exactly. Yeah. And he didn't want them to move out. They were an asset. They were the labor and stuff they had. So yeah. So meaning you can also experiment with different types of living. You can have large communal houses, tiny little individual huts, tree houses, dug in holes in the ground, and all sorts of stuff. Meaning Hobbiton to tree houses, to long houses, to various things. So yeah, or towers. Yeah. If there's a lot of natural animals going around wanting to eat you at night that are like polar bears or something, then you build a stone tower and climb up in it for night. But if there are dragons, then you might want to dig a hole instead, so to speak, so in order to survive.
Ooh. So Eric,
let me share something real quick here if I can find it. That Anna brought to my attention, and that is, I always, when I initially was placing Altamira, it was like, Anna's the one that brought this up. It should be up in the hills or whatever in a defensive position, and not on a flat area in the middle of a valley. And there you go. So, I mean, this is an older version of it. I just threw the one I found, but I would have never done that, Anna. And you're right. It's, that's you got to think about those kind of things when you're
exactly.
placing.
You need to, when you create your own settlement, start thinking about these dimensions, so to speak, because that means that not every village or town is exactly a copy of each other, and that's meaning then they have different purposes for reason they're there.
Was Altamira built on an elven burial ground?
There was not Poltergeist. It was built, yeah, that was built near a
Yeah.
Is that why you
kumquat.
have
It was
Orcus?
Grover
Orcus,
kumquats.
yeah. hmm
Yes, Orcus. You know, you gotta have some
Yeah.
bad. It's boring if there's no bad guys around, Anna, right? You know,
Yeah.
so yeah,
hmm
yeah. That was a smart move there. Hey,
Yeah.
Duff.
Well, Hamlet was a good town. The bad stuff was all next door. So
Yeah.
surely
mhm.
Altamira has its neighbors that don't like.
It
Yeah.
does. Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And there you have, if you make the difference between Hamlet and Nolb, they are different reason. Meaning Hamlet is the I think a mix between a farming community and a way station. Meaning they have an oversized inn and they still have mostly subsistence farming and stuff with a little bit of
Yeah.
catering to travelers. Those are I think the two main incomes for Hamlet. But Nolb is one of these dirt poor outcasts, so to speak, that are simply there because they have nowhere else to go. And then comes the temple, and all of a sudden they become some sort of a mix between outcasts and religious sites, so to speak, or something.
Welcome, traveling priests.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So settlements don't necessarily need to have one category. They are often kind of a mix of two, and they can vary over history. So you can have like an ancient temple ruin, and now we are dirt poor farming community. But go back a few hundred years ago, we were a religious site of note, so to speak, or something. So, yeah.
Hence, you can always build a town on top of other ruins, which is always leads to fun things happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
So build history, reason for it to exist, and then start thinking who rules it, or if anyone, so to speak, for what purpose.
See, Curtis. So, and here's a note. I think when you get to a lot of you get to the and we don't have to talk specifically. There are in the Elven Kingdoms. Well, I know Duchy has way more towns that have popped up in here, but like
Yeah.
Celine didn't have anything in it at all.
Exactly,
So,
it's very underutilized.
I
Yeah.
think that people are like, I don't know what kind of town to develop, right? With an Elven community. I think that's what it was, but it could be wrong. So
no, but I think yeah, because then you have the other thing, meaning how do dwarves do it, and gnomes and elves and stuff? Are they different? And in that sense, how different? In what way?
right.
Ways are they different from standard humans, so to speak?
Well, the good thing is we have 3 dwarven kingdoms right outside Greyhawk City. You got Caracash, Dumadan, and Graysmere, all here, all developed, and you also do have one gnome. Did it again? One gnome community. You have Grossic Rattle, which is mentioned up in that area as well. So you do have some. Oh my God, sorry. Yeah, you have Grossic Rattle here. So you do have some of them nearby, which you can compare to or utilize, which is geez, Jay. I'm mentally off a little tonight. So, yeah, and they're not that large. These dwarven communities are not large at all.
No.
You know, in comparison.
Yeah, I get the sense that dwarfs haven't lived there forever. There was kind of something they prospected, found things, and in the to mine, and then started mining it. So yeah, exactly.
I really hoped though they were bigger. You know, I wanted them to dominate the Aberrons.
Yeah, but Dumadan seems to be, because they rule themselves and stuff, and the other ones are just there as little outposts.
I'm not sure if they're fading locations. But with what I remember from them being published, I don't think any of them had more than 800. I think was the. Am I remembering that right, Mike?
Seemed real light. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have the thing, meaning a town can be either emerging, meaning it's be an up and coming place, or it can be an established, stable place, or it might be a waning, disappearing place, so to speak. And that will also affect things, both economically and who lives there and stuff.
One battle against the orcs, and there goes half your town population.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
They are tiny. That's what I thought.
Yeah. That's my sense too. That they're not center of dwarven kingdoms or anything. They're kind of little outposts at best.
But there are no super large, because when
what
you
would
even
be
come
a
down
larger though?
Well, I'm saying the Principality of Ulick.
Exactly. There you have a big
one. It doesn't
one.
feel like Greyhawk doesn't feel like a dwarven city to me.
No, I don't get the sense either. I get the sense that it's an old Kioish town or
Yeah.
city more than
And
dwarven.
a
Haven
lot of the
Hill is the
communities. Yeah.
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 Haven Hill is the dwarven hideout, so
Right.
to speak, or the center.
Yeah. So, but it still doesn't get that feeling of being super huge. But
No.
yeah, which
Of
is okay.
hmm
Yeah.
But then you have the Iron Kingdoms, that is a dwarven kingdom, but we don't have a settlement name or anything. I put a couple of places there. I
You
think
mean Iron
maybe they made
Hills?
it. Yeah, Iron Hills. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, Iron Hills. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
right.
that is kind of also underdeveloped.
Completely underdeveloped.
Yeah, Bronze Gate, I think, is the only thing that maybe it's not there. It's only on my
here.
map.
It's here.
Okay, good. Yeah, that one I think is the only one that was kind of hinted at without being placed.
Nice.
So
BB broke it down nicely there.
Yeah,
Table
you're right.
days,
You're right,
trade,
BB. Good one.
forecast.
mhm.
Nice.
Yep.
So
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it just this is area. It would be
Yeah.
fantastic, and you could start out of Iron Gate, and this would be a
Yeah.
great dwarven campaign area to do stuff. It really
But you
is.
have up in the Yachtils, you have Blackhammer that came in late. I think it's a Living Greyhawk thing, but it's kind of cool placement and a cool name, and it's really up in the mountains. So there you have some cool
I know where
possibilities.
Dunover is. I don't know where Blackhammer is.
Yeah, it's a bit south. It's the go between Ket and
Oh, okay.
zoom in. There you go.
Oh, I see it.
Yep. There you go. Yep.
Yeah. Interesting.
So there are some that have more of the Moria potential, so to speak. So at least my copper dweller. Yep.
And if you want halfling locations and a gnome, you're SOL for the most part. Just very right. I mean, you have some here. Yeah, you have a couple of these are gnomish in the Cron Hills, and then you're supposed to have, like I said, I have Happy Springs in the county, but none of them are named anywhere. There's nothing here.
Yeah, it's very devoid of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you may have one or two down here. I made Archit, which is ripped off right from Lord of the Rings.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just one of those. But there aren't many, except for Elmshire, which is the Elmshire's the Palermo of Greyhawk. If you look, I mean, someone's invading it or kidnapping half the population, and like every adventure every 5 years. So
and there's poor halflings living there too.
What's that?
And there's poor halflings living in that inferno of in Elmshire.
Elmshire's a halfling town.
Yeah, I mean, poor halflings living in that inferno. Meaning, come on, they should move. They probably moved somewhere else by now.
It's just over and over and over.
And
bad things happen. So
yeah, it seems to be kind of weird that yeah. I thought they lived in boring places where nothing happened, but yeah.
True, Michael. But they're not really detailed much, right? I'm just saying, as far as towns and stuff and developments, they should have some up here. And once again, it's what was utilized in whatever era from the Ashes, Markland stuff, Living Greyhawk, and what wasn't gets developed. It's just the way, it's just, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It did some development, right? But I'm saying there was no development that I can see during Living Greyhawk era of the Iron Hills, right?
Exactly. They skipped over. It. Yep, they skipped over it.
There's a lot of room to do a lot of things here. Things are good to eat. They taste like chicken, like the Wolf Wearer said on Saturday. Dwarves don't taste like chicken. That was part of the adventure. I said. I threw a baddie up against him. Tim was playing, had no idea, so I got one over on him even. So, yeah. And there's on wall. On wall's pretty nicely done, and that was done by the Brits, as we well know.
Yep.
All right. So, any other points of interest as we continue onward here? You guys want to discuss small communities?
Probably a lot.
There's probably a lot. So let me do these. Let me do some Elven ones. So you come in and it gets to the Marklands. And they do a great job, and they actually discuss Flame Flower and what's the in this area of the Vestry Forest. And I loved Qualston, another one. that they actually get in. They really go into some detail, and they also talk more about the Valley of the High Folk and what's going on there, because it's only talked about remotely, and then you get at least some detail from these areas, and you can work on, even if it's a paragraph or two. It's
Hmm.
enough to work on. So Delvin Brass, another, yeah, that's not a town though. That's right. Is Delvin Brass a town? My brain's shut off. I'm sorry.
Let's
I
see.
thought
I
that
need
was.
to. It's up in the. I think it's like
I'm
a
sorry.
stronghold of some sort up
Yeah, I
there.
think it's a
So
stronghold.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
it's
it's kind of
okay.
a settlement.
Yeah.
Yep. Hmm. But
So,
it's very heavily fortified. It's like a large structure enough to hold lots of people. That's
yeah,
my.
defensive structure.
Yeah.
So, a lot of good things was done. And you don't need a lot of detail, right? You don't need a lot of locations. There's not that many, but there's stuff that gets you started in the area. And then during the wars, there's stuff. Oh, is stuff in Bristol Woodsman Town? I'm sorry, I am so out of it tonight. My
I don't
apologies.
remember.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm a little bit mushy. I was up until 2:30 in the morning.
that's because you were looking at the election results.
Well, I was at uh, uh,
You were
out with
at a
people.
election.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I
Hmm,
was at a election.
fun.
Yeah, for our
2:30
congressman.
your time is
Yeah,
5:30 mine.
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. So
Phew.
so so it, out in Palm Springs. So it was a lot of fun.
Good.
And I drove home and it was pouring down rain and stuff, which is not common in here, but it was like windy,
Yeah.
stormy, rainy, and all that. So yeah, but it was a lot of fun. So that's why I'm a little bit mushy, but I slept in a bit. So yeah,
All right, I want to talk about a quickie thing here, Anna, and I know
yeah.
mine is different than yours, but what do you do with areas that are being, hey, what's up, Prometheus, Dwayne, thanks for coming in.
Hey, welcome.
So, what do you do with areas that are abandoned and then are resettled?
Hmm.
So, like, I got a
Yeah.
bunch, so what happens there?
Well, then one from a map making perspective, the town or village of Aldet is a perfect example in of this in my campaign, because it started out it grew into a small town with maybe like 500-600 people or something
Which
living in
town, I'm
it.
sorry?
Aldet, my little village
Oh,
town,
Alden.
so to speak. Yeah,
Yeah, which
that
is
is,
down
yeah,
here, right?
exactly, down there. Yeah, so it's
Not on my
example
map.
that I
Hmm.
created for my own campaign, and it's in that fork of the road there. So that's
Hmm.
where it, yeah, and it was something that I wrote the backstory, and during the Shieldland era up until the wars, so to speak, it grew from like a tiny little flan community 1,000 years ago to a small town with 500-600 people or something like that at the heyday. And it was a mixture of goat herders, sharecroppers, and a way station along the road, so to speak. So it was kind of like a hamlet in that sense, not too different. And it's a little bit higher up there, so to speak. So it was like the highest point. So when they struggled up over across the hump on the road, it was the perfect spot on the top before they either descended or done the. So it was a stopover, and it was a day away from South Keep and a day away from Dellard. So it was like in between there, and so that's how it started. And it was famous for its inn and its honey and its goat meat. That was basically wood and some cheese and stuff that goes with it. And then comes the Ayusian, first the Horn Society invasion, and then the Ayusian invasion, and the town went from 500 or something people living in there to about 25. And so it became a village because the Ayusian priest basically, yeah, most people fled, but the people that stayed, most of them got killed over the next 10 years, 15 years. So then you had like a skeleton, sometimes literally skeleton amount of people. So they were down to the bare minimum, so to speak, to exist there. And what I did was that I actually downsized the symbol on the map from a town to a village. But it still has the remnants of a city wall. It has a keep and stuff like that. But it's only like 25, 30 people living there. So when I start my campaign, so that's how I dealt with it, so to speak. So it had a more bigger, more glorious past, and some of the buildings and stuff were there, and half of the buildings were ruined and stuff. So it was a little bit like a apocalyptic zone, so to speak, the town when we started playing the campaign.
And for me, I have areas that I just renamed. Like, I think this was East Fork, and now it's
Yeah.
Radiant Fork.
Mm-hmm.
And then Walrus
Yeah.
Crossing, Homer's Hold, and just as things change,
Yeah.
because you can have things static. That's fine. I always was afraid back in the day because especially when From the Ashes came out, Mike,
Mm-hmm.
you probably went through this. You're like, I've been playing all this time, and my God, now he just completely changed the entire setting. What do I do, right?
A
And
lot of retconning
a
back then.
lot of
Mm-hmm.
retconning, and it took
Yeah.
years, right? And
But that's
so
why I would start over.
it's probably a smart move. I was just like,
Eventually,
That's
it's like
yeah.
third edition. Now's my
Mm-hmm.
chance to start over.
yeah,
Yeah. And also, Jay, you've had the same players all
yeah,
these years, which means that you couldn't really start over because they remember. I have had different game groups,
yeah.
and every time you have a new game group, that gives you a chance of ignoring the ugly bits that went
Yeah, to
haywire
do it over.
exactly 10, 15 years ago. I made a bad call
It's a
and
tough
something
one.
went
I don't know
haywire.
about Jay's players, but my players wouldn't remember.
Okay, good. So
My
then
guys,
you're good.
that's why I
Yeah.
have the tuna fish sandwich emote.
Yeah.
They don't even remember what they have for lunch,
So
but
there
they
you go.
they do remember stories going
Yeah.
back of great
Mhm.
things that happen and all. And
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
so
And especially if you screw up as a
Right.
DM, your players will remember that. So if you
absolutely,
try to retcon that afterwards, someone will point that out quickly, so to
yeah,
speak. So yeah.
that is
Gary is completely right. I did not plan on writing much about all at first. I picked it because there was only 2 settlements there.
Yeah.
plus it was
And
cool. It was
just
like
spun out of control from there.
Mhm.
it's kind of like that Mongolian heights, and you could with a Conan feel to it. It was perfect, right? It was perfect to write up some great stuff, and it was awesome. So, but wow, and I think that it is really fun, and you don't need like if you create a community that is being sieged or there's a problem with it, or they need help. You don't have. You can use it as a location, have everything detailed, but you don't necessarily have to do that, right?
Okay.
Both, and it just depends on your style of DMing too.
Mhm.
You know,
And
I
there's
rarely
often
do
cool.
that. Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. I was going to say there's also a lot of good settlement maps out there. You
Good
you
point.
can just do a Google search and find something that looks to fit the bill, and then you use it.
And there's also programs too. There's that one where you can keep on making changes to it.
Exactly. You have a lot of generators. You have
Yeah,
village generators that generates all the NPCs and stuff. So you get like almost Lenla Kafka detail on the whole place too.
So real quick, let me show you. I want to show you when I was doing the research for this. I found these are some of the maps I just found randomly. Okay, this one's Furiandi. I don't know who did it. All right, that's kind of cool looking. Well, it would be nice if I showed it to you. There's Furiandi with that color.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of these are randomly
nice.
found. I don't have attributions to who did them, and they just.
No, I think it's for Living Greyhawk for Yundi.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Here is Valuna.
That's for Living Greyhawk Valuna. It's one of the most beautiful maps done for Greyhawk. I think it's great.
Here's one someone here may have done.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Great map.
Right there.
Yes, Mike.
And on your screen, it's probably bigger than real size because real size is like a postcard.
You have Sasserine here. Yeah. So,
Yep.
yeah. All right, let's see what else I got here. I know I got another Salt Marsh.
Yeah.
Another one I found.
That looks old.
Yep.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the Hornwood.
Oh, Geoff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not sure I've seen that one before.
Yeah.
I like those islands.
I don't think I've ever seen that map, but it looks cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
a lot of rivers and stuff, though.
Yeah, I think they're
all over the place.
Yeah, they're really stressed in that map. I think that's it. I showed the Great Kingdom one. Yeah, oh, this one, the Yatels. That's from is that from a publication?
That is, yeah, I think it's from a Dungeon or a Dragon because it's a Paisahawk era. I recognize the style.
I bet that's because I talked about this one recently. I bet that's from Racing the Snake.
Okay.
Wolfgang Bauer adventure.
Okay. Yeah, because it's that era cartography. Yeah.
This one says Starich post-war.
Okay.
That looks like a Lazaretti.
Yeah, that's a Lazaretti from yeah.
So there you go. And there's just some, when I was doing this, and I was like, oh, these got a lot of small communities on them, so I'll pull them up. I just wanted to, I spelled, Is it spelled wrong? Did I spell it wrong? Yeah. So it
Oh,
says
don't trust
Yentl. It
my
says
spelling.
Yentl, not Yatel
Yeah,
here.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
you're
Well,
right.
that
You're
might
right.
be on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hi,
Mhm.
folks here.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
it's clearly both the geography and all the other names. So
Yeah.
either Gentil is misspelled on purpose because to cover up the fact that it's not a Greyhawk like Carlos doing or something to
Right.
file off the serial number.
Possibly.
But then you should probably do the series too and not only the mountain. So yeah.
Yentl. That's funny. Maybe fan
Yentl.
fun.
Yentl.
Like the Barbara
Gentle.
Streisand
Yeah.
movie.
That's awesome.
That made my
Yentl
night.
Mountains. Yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
funny.
You
Yep.
could
Oh
have
my
a whole
gosh, that
country
was
full of
good.
Yiddish
Yep.
names. Yeah.
Oh, a terrible movie. Or maybe it was good. Maybe you loved it. I don't know. So,
I don't know.
I guess it could be worse. You could name it someplace Gigli, Gigli, like that's
Geely.
that Ben Affleck movie with his new his wife now. Oh God.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. So,
Mhm.
we bounce around on the topic tonight, and hopefully, you guys got some got some good information. It's
Yeah,
Water
hopefully it was a little bit useful. Yeah.
well, Moose kicking over the Waterworld comments tonight. Oh, oh my gosh, it's got one of the best one-liners of all time. I use it all the time in my D&D adventures. Oh, thank God! He looks up and then the flare comes down. Oh, thank God! Oh, that's hysterical. Oh, that's so funny. So, any other questions in the audience or comments? No, Gary, I don't know where Applebee's is even, and I don't even care.
No, I
so,
took it away, so we
yeah.
don't talk about it
Yes,
ever.
it's-
I had it. It was twice. It popped in. It was one of these that refused to go because for some reason I managed to save over an older version again, so it came back. It was like I took it away and then it came back again. And now I make sure. So
oh my
I
gosh.
now and then I go back in and make a check that it's not back again. So
Oh yeah, that pain. Oh my gosh.
Chili's, yeah.
Chili.
That is awesome.
Yeah. It got bought out.
Yep.
Yeah. So lots going on the rest of this week and next week. I mean, it's a boatload coming up through to Thanksgiving. But let's see what everyone else has going on. So, Mike, what's going on with you?
What? Oh man, what's going on? You would think I'm doing a lot of gaming, but this is definitely a time of year where stuff interferes scheduling wise and whatnot. I might be gaming this week. I don't know.
Okay.
We got Veterans Day coming up, and in the meantime, the only thing I really have to offer you guys is a new blog post.
Awesome. That's
Ooh.
good.
I got another noble of the 576 Sea Princes,
Oh,
the
awesome.
the ruler of Hokar, which on the Darlene map
Oh.
is a town,
Yeah.
but by 591 at the end of the Greyhawk Wars, now all of a sudden it's the biggest city in the whole of the Sea Princes.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I don't really know where to justify that. I have Hokar as kind of a mining / trade town, Anna. Or a hub, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it's ruled by a slightly insane guy. So enjoy.
That's
Nice.
awesome. Wasn't it also seen as a kind of a resistance headquarters against?
Yeah, in the Scarlet Brotherhood.
Exactly.
Ruled,
Yeah.
I think that's why the population.
Yeah, that's why
goes
it
up.
grew
Yeah.
a lot. So yeah. If I remember correctly. So that means that depending on how much emphasis you put on Scarlet Brotherhood, that also affects Hokar's kind of what makes it tick. That's
so
another
my
reason.
Hokar would then probably be more on the large town scale, small city.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So political reasons might meaning a city might grow simply because there's an enemy out there, so we need to build it and or flee from it or something. So yeah.
On a non D&D note, like what the hell are up with your Blues, man? What is going on? 8 straight
first
losses.
round pick, man. First round pick.
My
I don't
gosh,
know.
that is just.
Well, to put this in perspective, Jay, the year the Blues won the Stanley Cup, I think that was
they were in last
4 or
place
5
too.
years. Yeah.
But this
So,
is even
just
worse.
saying.
Oh my gosh.
NHL.
Yeah. So very cool, Mike. You back? Are you
Thanks,
back
Paul.
every Wednesday now?
Yeah, it looks that way.
What?
I have not heard
He's
from my friends.
upset.
Oh, that's great.
I have
Yeah,
not
that's
heard from my
awesome.
friends, so
No,
I
no, but
stopped asking.
yeah, but that's good. We want to have you every Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, just note, everyone. We'll talk about this, but next Wednesday is probably going to be a living Greyhawk yeomanry, I believe, with Casey. But I haven't
Oh,
heard from Casey in like 2 weeks. So, but that's
okay.
what's
We have
set.
to
Yeah.
come up with a reserve topic
Yeah,
just in case.
I'll
Then,
reach
yeah.
out to him
Mhm.
and do that
Yeah.
and see what's going on. So, Mike, thanks for the topic idea.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And Anna, what's up with you?
This week now it's going to be Atlas week. I'm just realized what the heck I'm sitting. I've done 22 of the maps so far out of the 100. So I'm going
Wow.
to, my goal is to blast past 50 by the end of the week, so to speak. So until Friday, that's basically what I'm going to do. But I have, so there will be hardly none published, but I would love to get all the spiced up a little bit and posted on, and so I have a whole bunch of other stuff, but I feel like, damn, I'm going to get the Atlas maps under wraps so I can feel like I will get there, because it's starting to get that. The heraldry, I feel like I have more under control because it's not that much tedious work, so to speak. So I'm going to sit here and just do the tedious hours of work to just put together all the pieces, and while doing that I will start thinking about heraldry. I will think about other stuff that are cool things. I have some monsters that I'm going to stat out and do some thinking and creative stuff in the background while I'm doing it, because when you sit and do tedious work, then your brain starts wandering in new interesting ways, so to speak. So yeah, so that's the biggie right now, is to, because I need to get it out, and sooner rather than later it's Christmas, and all of a sudden my time is out. So I need to, so I'm going to do a big push this week and just sit and do it. And do it. And also Linda is busy this week with her mother, so there will be no mapping live stream on Friday. I'm just going to push through and get as many of these maps done as possible. And you saw last week, so it's basically that. But we have a upcoming for
a week from Friday.
Exactly, week from Friday instead. So save up to that one with Ed Greenwood.
That's
I'm really
a 5
looking
stream
forward
week.
to that.
I got 5 that week.
Yeah, yep.
That's going to be a busy week.
Yeah. So for me, it will be a busy week, but it will be something that will come in December. That will be a 598 Atlas coming out. So that is coming. So that's the basic. And I'm also planning all the parts and pick for my computer, so I can hopefully purchase that one next week. That's the the plan. So yep. Start going in on that. So that's the other thing I'm going to do this week. So unfortunately not that much cool stuff coming, but there's plenty of stuff coming later. So it's a dull week from a publishing perspective, so to speak.
Well, there's some fun things coming up. A lot of stuff. So
Yep.
all right, tomorrow night, new adventure, standoff in the morass. It's probably a 2-weeker. Because then 2 weeks and we're up to Thanksgiving, so we're getting close to it. So we're trying to not stretch it out to that. But once again, I got some pretty cool looking terrain here.
Yeah.
You got some neat stuff coming here. You got some swampy area, and this is north of Norwell. I'll tell the story. The name of that is that building, and I grandiosely named it, just so you're aware. It's a ruined. It's a ruined cathedral of St. Cuthbert, a cathedral of reflection and penance. What's the name of that building?
Yeah.
So
wow.
try to give it a nice, big, grandiose name befitting of St. Cuthbert. That's tomorrow. And it's Infinite Dimensions Games tomorrow. So we're giving away the 3D prints for the Ruined Rookery, which is going to be, you're going to see that during the Ed Greenwood game on Saturday, and also the Outdoor Chapel, 2 really great 3D prints. They'll be the giveaways tomorrow night. All righty. Then Saturday's the big one. All right. And not all the names could fit on here. So it's Ed from 2 drink minimum. It's Ed, Tony, Eric Boyd. All right. 3 players. Okay. From the Slavs, Mandy, Myriad, Bones, Darling, and Josh. Okay. So
It's a cool
Yes.
setup.
The
Yep.
name of the adventure is A Map and a Vision.
Mhm.
Can't fit that on there. I just didn't have room. So yes, and that is the first ever crossover event with 2 adventuring groups. We'll see what
2
happens.
squats minimum. Yep. Mhm. Yep.
Ed's really
That's fun.
excited. Everyone's excited about this attempt. I'm going to do my best to, and it's going to take place in Altamira, and they're going to have to they're going to have to go into the really swamp, because I don't have time to change out terrain too much. The really swampy area of the Sus, which is near where Atreka is rumored to be, somewhere in that
Mhm.
area, right, of the Sus Forest. So, and they'll have to go in there, which is always a fun trek for adventurers to travel in there. So that's where they'll be going. It sounds like it's going to be a fun time, a great one shot. That is Saturday night, 6 p.m. EST is we're on standard time. And then please, Sundays even is just as good. It's been 2 years, and we only had them for an hour. We got him for 2 now, and Sean Reynolds. And I want to delve really into like Living Greyhawk journals he did, and he just says, "Oh, please don't make me reread anything." I said, "Don't worry about it, Sean. I will go. You don't. If you forget, it's no big deal. I will. I'm digging into all your stuff. So, if there's some Gary and all you out there, if there's some tidbit you want me to discuss with him, please put it in Discord. Okay, don't put it in chat here. Put it in my Discord. Direct message to me, and I will take care of that. So we're gonna have him for 2 full hours. So we really want to dig into some Sean Reynolds goodness on this. So got you Zump, and I'll take care of that as well. So that's what's up. Week after 5 streams. No, nothing big. I am working now on the initial lists of invites for the fundraiser for which is going to be called Legends, and that's going to be happening probably the 3rd weekend in February 2023. And we're gonna go to town with that. We're gonna invite as many big names as we can to participate in it. In the 5th annual St. Jude fundraiser. So that's what I'm working on. Plus, I have a lot I cannot discuss. There's a lot of really great things that I'm going to be involved in at GaryCon. So,
cool. Yeah.
Yes.
I can mention that I'm working on Iusian spells for my campaign.
Nice.
So they're coming. There will be a 9th level spell called the Dome of Despair. That's a nasty one, so to speak. And they're spells that are not intended for player characters to cast. And these are they're as powerful as Wish and some of the other 9th level spells, but it's in a different dimension, so to speak. So they're kind of Iusian in a way. You remember the eyes of the old one that was a 1st level spell. This is and Wall of Pain is a 5th level spell. The Dome of Despair is some of Iu's biggest weapons, so to speak, that his clerics have, which is kind of that's some cool twists to it, so to speak. So those are coming. Yeah, once my players have been suffered them, that's that. Once the characters have been they've experienced it, that's when I will post them. So yeah.
No, Anna, I can't believe I didn't mention this, and I got to do this. I got to go. You're right. That's awesome. These are 2nd and 3rd level characters I'm doing, but I'm foreshadowing and introducing something by Rob Kuntz on this adventure for the next 2 weeks, and that's this.
Dark Druids. Yes.
Okay, I'm starting.
Yep.
I'm not using this adventure's for 8 to 12. But the Dark Druid class is in here, and a lot of spells are in here. So just note, you're going to start seeing some tidbits of Dark Druids the next 2 weeks in this Norwell group, because I'm going to place this in the Gnarly. So there you go. Thanks.
And the goat mate class. Yeah, that's interesting, because there are other and now it's meaning I use nifty creative Iusian priest. They used goats to make this, but some realized you can do the same thing with other animals. And there are other animals on the list, so to speak. So Iusian priest have been creative with other stuff than goats.
Well,
and that's coming to my campaign too.
Animate dead animals.
Exactly.
As an event, as a spell in the Necromancer packet list. So
yep. And then add some Iusian stuff, and also the Horn Society were also meckling around in stuff like this too. So I have stuff. So and thank you, Dave, for trying to be label me wickedly creative. I tried my best, so to speak. So yeah.
we're all doing our thing here, and the community's growing very well. And just note, keep it up, everyone, and thank you for all the support. Let's do the giveaway. Last call, exclamation point drawing. You get this Treasures of Greyhawk unless you already have it. All right, and then you get your choice of one of these other modules I have here: N1, N4, B3, B4, C2, UK1. Hamlet's in here, T1. U1,
wow.
Saltmarsh is in here. Yeah, I got a whole bunch.
You have to have more giveaways because that pile seems to grow.
Well, it's Patrick. It's Patrick.
Yeah, no, he's awesome.
It's good that we're getting a whole bunch of stuff, plus some season X's and stuff. Once again, if you don't have treasures, you should get. It's awesome. I know Troy said, it's awesome. And then you get your choice of one another. So here we go. I'm going to probably hit a wrong button here. Here we go. The winner. Closing it out. Lord Forth. Grats. As long as he's on the claim, Lord Forth, you win tonight. And remember, tomorrow night is 3D prints, STLs, but I usually do one Reaper giveaway in that time as well. So usually there's like 3 giveaways. All right, Forth.
Yes.
Just let me know what you want in Whisper. Okay. And we're I think Stella has her Greyhawk Patreon game tonight, so we'll raid into that because I know she's doing Greyhawk. So okay, H1. What's H1? What is H1? You mean I1?
You have to look at the covers. There's no H1.
I don't know what H1 is. That doesn't exist.
Okay.
T1. Oh, you want Hamlet and treasures. You got it. You want Hamlet and treasures. Just a typo. All right, cool. Easy enough. Good. You got it. Fantastic. I think I got your name and address and all that stuff in my database. Thanks, everyone. See you tomorrow night. For a fun one. Mike, Anna, that was a real good one. Thank you.
I hope we had a good discussion out of a kind of a generic topic, so to speak.
Yes, but sometimes you got to do that. And it helps. It helps when Mike and I have obviously had some rough work week here. So
we all had. So yeah. But I think we did some good discussion.
Yeah,
too,
definitely.
So,
It was definitely a really fun one. See you all. See you tomorrow night. And everyone have a great night. And then. Keep on gaming there. All right, raiding into Stella. Let's set this up. I gotta hold Stella.
Thank you. A lot of people saying it's a good stream, so that's
thanks. Yeah, definitely. We had fun. We had a fun discussion. We had a good time. Nice. 75. That's awesome. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you tomorrow night.
78.
Yeah,
wow.
That's nice.
Yep. That's a good number. Hopefully. It seems to take a little.
Are they on break? They're on break. I always raid into when they're on break.
Yep.
That's all right.
Yeah, okay, there we have it.